Hi, I'm Ann. I'm happy to be back in the kitchen with you at this beautiful Urbana Park District teaching kitchen. We're very grateful to them to let us use this. Today we're going to be working on making homemade cheese at home. This is a perfect project to do with children or for a science class. What we're going to do is we're going to take whole milk, and I've got it ready and prepped in a sauce pot for us. And I've got the heat on high, and we're bringing it up to a boil. And then we're going to add some acid to it in the form of vinegar. It's going to separate the milk fat solids and curdle to make our ricotta cheese, our homemade ricotta cheese. The weather is getting warmer, so now is the time to have fresh salads. So that's how we're going to display our ricotta. And then in the next cooking episode, we're going to work on homemade salad dressings that you can pair easily with this dish. So right now I have a gallon of whole milk that's coming up to a boil in this sauce pot. You want to make sure to kind of babysit this a little bit. I'm whisking, making sure to get the bottom. The milk can scorch very, very easily, and if the milk scorches on the bottom of the pot, you really have to throw the whole thing away because you don't want that scorched flavor in your cheese. So I'm making sure to whisk about every 30 seconds, just making sure that I'm moving the liquid around in the pot and nothing sticks to the bottom. Also, once this begins to boil, you want to be pretty close by so it doesn't boil over and make a big mess on your stove, which I've done before. So while we're waiting for this to boil, I am going to season this with salt and pepper. The reason I'm seasoning this plain milk with kosher salt and pepper is because you want your cheese to be seasoned when it's finished. So I'm going to go ahead and add probably about a tablespoon of salt to this and some fresh cracked black pepper. If I can get the lid open. Alright. Well, you must be He-Man to get this open, apparently. Alright. Now we're working. Jeez. Alright, and now that the pepper's open, I'm going to crack just a couple turns. You don't want it super peppery, you just want a nice flavor added in there. And I'm going to stir this all in and mix it up. You can always do the finger test or the spoon test. Get a little spoon in there and taste it to make sure your salt content is okay. I have some measuring spoons here, so I'm going to go ahead and use one of these. And you don't want it to be salty, you just want it to be properly seasoned. Good. So I can't really taste a lot of the salt. You can always add more salt back into it. So always try to start on the lighter side of things because if you add too much, you can't take it out. Now we're just going to wait for our milk to come to a boil, and then I'll show you the curdling process. Alright, our milk is almost at a boil. I've been stirring about every 30 seconds to make sure that it doesn't scorch the bottom. And you can see when the milk is getting ready to boil that it starts to get really frothy on the top, and then you know you need to stick close by. So I'm just going to make sure I'm stirring and stirring. Nothing gets stuck to the bottom. And then while we're waiting just a couple more seconds for it to actually boil, I want to talk about cheesecloth. So once we put the vinegar in with the milk, the fat solids are going to separate because of the acid, and then we're going to strain them out through a little mesh strainer. This is just a kitchen mesh strainer you can pick up at Meijer, Schnucks, anywhere. And then I have some cheesecloth. This cheesecloth came from the co-op. The reason I love cheesecloth is because it's a little bit finer particles than that mesh. And so you're going to pick up all the particles of the milk fat solids, the cheese, which will end up being the cheese. Just give it another stir while I'm talking about cheesecloth. The other great thing, cheesecloth has so many great uses. You can put spices and herbs in here and bundle it up, and lemon zest and any kind of flavors you want. You can bundle it up and tie it with butcher's twine, and this can sit inside soups and stocks and sauces. And it'll give you that wonderful flavor of herbs in your soups and sauces without actually getting the stem part that you always have to spend time picking out. So I always try to have some cheesecloth on hand in my kitchen. All right, I see the milk finally boiling. So I'm gonna get my vinegar ready. Gosh, I've been having a hard time opening things today. This cold weather must make me weak. So this is kind of a critical part here. Just a couple seconds before it starts to boiling is really the time you want to keep stirring it, because this is when the milk will start sticking to the bottom of the pot, and you really don't want that scorched flavor. So now that my milk has come up to a boil, I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of just white distilled vinegar. You can find this at any grocery store. And I'm going to pour it into my milk liquid. And you want some good, hefty, you can even go a little bit over the 2 tablespoons. Now that I've added my vinegar, I don't want my milk to rapid boil because it'll break apart the milk fat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully stir it in. And you can see it start to curd. And it smells like curdled milk. It doesn't smell the best, but the flavor is going to be wonderful. And as you see, the process has already started. You can see some of these curds on your whisk now as we speak. And you're really going to let this simmer for not too much longer, about 5 more minutes. So we've let this simmer for about 5 minutes, and you can see it's pretty chunky in here. Most of the cheese curds are rise to the top, and the rest of the way is at the bottom. So now at this point, we are going to strain out the curd part, and you have this beautiful ricotta cheese. And ricotta is a really mild cheese that you can eat on salads, you can eat it with pasta, it's great on sandwiches, it's really wonderful on pasta. So many things you can do with it. You can see that we're just scooping out the top of this milk feck right here. This is such a cool science project if you want to do an at-home science project. I know a lot of you are e-learning right now, so if you're looking to multitask and make dinner at the same time, this is really interesting and cool for kids to learn. We did a good job not scorching that pot. So it'll take about 10-15 minutes for this to drain off and cool off, and then we'll show you what it looks like on the finished product. I just pulled the ricotta out of the refrigerator, letting it cool, and as it was straining out the rest of this liquid. Now it's cool enough for me to touch, and I'm just going to squeeze the remaining skim milk out of the cheesecloth, so that way all that's left is the milk fat solids from the cheese. Now, this is a wonderful product, this excess castaway product, what you would call it, is a wonderful product to feed to animals. This milk is actually going to go to my rescue pigs, so they're going to have a nice treat. Once all this is drained, you have some beautiful cheese, and you can see it here in the cheesecloth. And this cheese needs to be kept refrigerated until use. But right now I'm going to take some of it and I'm just going to sprinkle it on top of this beautiful kale salad that we got from the co-op. And this is going to pair nicely with any kind of fruit vinaigrette, or we will be doing a vinaigrette in the next class. So hold on to this recipe and you can pair it together. Well, I hope you guys enjoy making this little science project at home and learning how to make homemade cheese. Join us again next time and we'll be making homemade vinaigrettes. Thank you.